The gym's fluorescent lights buzzed like angry hornets as Michael flipped the sign to closed. Daniel lingered by the weight racks, towel slung over his shoulder, heart pounding not from the deadlifts but from the way Michael's gaze had lingered all session. Too long, too knowing. "We need to talk," Michael said, his voice a gravelly whisper that cut through the hum, and before Daniel could nod or bolt, the coach crossed the room in 3 strides, twisted the deadbolt with a decisive click, and the world outside vanished. In that locked silence, Michael's hand found Daniel's wrist, pulse against pulse, and he pulled him close enough to smell the salt of his skin. "I've been waiting to do this since the day you walked in," Michael murmured, his breath hot against Daniel's ear, and then their lips crashed together. Not gentle, not tentative, but a storm of need that shattered every wall Daniel had built around his secrets. The kiss tasted of regret and revelation, and in minutes, the gym that had been Daniel's escape became the altar of his undoing. Daniel's back hit the mirrored wall with a thud that echoed his racing thoughts. This can't be happening, not here, not with him. But Michael's hands were steady, mapping the terrain of his chest like a cartographer claiming new land, and for the first time in years, Daniel didn't pull away. File 1. The city of Chicago never slept, but on that humid August evening in 2024, it felt like the whole world held its breath as Daniel Harper wiped the sweat from his brow and stared at his reflection in the grimy gym window. At 28, he was a mid-level accountant in a loop high-rise, the kind of guy who blended into the gray suits and fluorescent drudgery of corporate life. His apartment in Wicker Park was a sterile box of IKEA furniture and takeout containers, a far cry from the vibrant chaos he'd imagined when he moved here from small-town Ohio 5 years ago. But lately, the mirror lied to him. His body, once lean from high school track, had softened into something he barely recognized, soft around the edges, like the unresolved ache in his chest. That's why he'd signed up for sessions at Ironclad Gym, a no-frills spot tucked between a falafel joint and a dive bar on Milwaukee Avenue. It wasn't the bougie studios with yoga mats and green smoothies. Ironclad was raw, the air thick with the clang of plates and the grunts of men pushing limits. Daniel needed that edge, something to sharpen him before he dulled completely. His first session was a disaster. Form sloppy, weights too light, confidence non-existent. But then Michael Reyes walked over. Michael was 32, built like a sculpture from some forgotten Renaissance. Broad shoulders tapering to a narrow waist, skin the warm brown of desert sunsets, and eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled, which wasn't often. A former Marine turned trainer, he moved through the gym with the quiet authority of someone who'd stared down worse than deadlifts. "Breathe into it, man," he'd said that first day, adjusting Daniel's grip on the barbell with hands calloused from more than barbells. "You're stronger than you think." Daniel had nodded, cheeks burning, and chalked it up to the burn in his quads. But over the weeks, those adjustments lingered. A thumb brushing his lower back, a shared water break where Michael's laugh rumbled low and made Daniel's stomach flip. By month 2, their sessions had a rhythm. Warm-ups laced with banter about the Cubs' latest slump or the best taco truck on the north side. Daniel opened up in fragments. About the job that sucked his soul. The family back in Dayton who still sent passive-aggressive emails about finding a nice girl. Michael listened, really listened, his dark eyes steady, never judging. "Sounds like you're carrying the weight of the world," he'd say, spotting Daniel on bench presses. "Let me help with that." And damn if it didn't feel like he was spotting more than just the iron. One rainy Tuesday, after a set of pull-ups that left Daniel gasping, Michael tossed him a towel and leaned against the rack. "You ever think about why you're really here? Not the six-pack bullshit. The real why." Daniel froze, towel midway to his face. The gym was emptying out, the after-work crowd shuffling into the downpour. "To not hate the guy in the mirror?" he muttered, avoiding those eyes. Michael nodded slowly, like he'd expected that. "Mirrors lie, Danny. It's the shadows they don't show that'll get you." He clapped Daniel's shoulder, the touch electric, and walked away to lock up. Daniel stood there, rain pattering the windows, wondering if Michael had just seen right through him. The secret he'd buried since college, the one that whispered in the dark when he scrolled Grindr but never swiped. That night, Daniel lay awake in his queen-sized bed that felt too big for one, replaying the moment. Shadows, Michael had said. The shadows were the hookups he'd ghosted after, the crushes on straight roommates that ended in awkward silences. The shadows were the fear that if he let them in, they'd swallow him whole. By morning, he'd convinced himself it was nothing, just trainer-client chemistry, the kind that fueled motivation. But when he showed up for his next session, heart hammering like he'd chugged 3 espressos, Michael's smile hit different. Warmer. Dangerous. Weeks blurred into a tentative dance. Michael started lingering after sessions, sharing protein shakes at the juice bar next door, stories spilling out like confessions. He'd grown up in Pilsen, son of Mexican immigrants who ran a taqueria, joined the Corps at 18 to escape the grind, came out at 25 during a deployment that nearly broke him. It was like ripping off a bandage soaked in acid, Michael said one evening, nursing a beer at a quiet pub. But the air after? Fresher. You breathe easier knowing you're not choking on lies. Daniel nodded, throat tight, envying that freedom. His own coming out was a non-event. A drunken voicemail to his sister that she pretended never happened. Parents who prayed it away with casseroles and church invites. You're brave as hell, Mike, Daniel said, the words slipping out before he could catch them. Michael's gaze sharpened, the pub's neon casting blue halos on his face. Brave? Nah, just tired of hiding. Their knees brushed under the table, and neither moved. The air crackled, unspoken, until Daniel's phone buzzed. A work email, reality intruding. He pulled back, mumbling about deadlines, but the brush lingered like a promise. Fall crept in, leaves turning the streets to fire, and so did the pull between them. A casual hike in the Indiana dunes became hours of trail talk turning personal. Michael's scars from a roadside bomb, faint lines on his ribs he traced with a finger. Daniel's panic attack in a boardroom, the way he'd faked a migraine to escape. At the summit, wind whipping Lake Michigan into froth below, Michael turned to him. You deserve more than faking it, Danny. Someone who sees all of you. Daniel's breath caught, the words a mirror to his shadows. He wanted to say you, but instead he joked about blisters, and they hiked down in charged silence. By Thanksgiving, the gym felt like a confessional. Sessions ended with stretches that bordered on intimate. Michael's hands on Daniel's hips, guiding a lunge, thumbs pressing just right. Feel that burn? That's growth. Michael would murmur, close enough for Daniel to count the stubble on his jaw. And Daniel did feel it, everywhere but the muscles. A heat pooling low, a longing that scared him shitless. He started canceling plans with straight buddies, lying about overtime, just to steal those hours at Ironclad. One crisp November night, after a brutal circuit that left them both drenched, Michael wiped his face with his shirt hem, flashing abs that made Daniel's mouth dry. Hey, Danny, ever think about grabbing dinner? Real food, not this chalky crap. Daniel's heart slammed against his ribs. It was out there now, casual as a weather report, but loaded. Yeah, he heard himself say. I'd like that. They met at a hole-in-the-wall Italian joint in Logan Square, candles flickering in Chianti bottles, the kind of place where secrets felt safe. Over rigatoni and Chianti, Michael peeled back more layers. The ex who'd bailed when deployment loomed. The family that loved him but whispered about phases. Daniel shared fragments. His first kiss with a boy in a cornfield, stolen and sour with guilt. The grinder dates that fizzled into shame. I want it, Daniel admitted, voice barely above the jazz crooning from the speakers. But what if it's not enough? What if I'm just broken? Michael reached across the table, covering Daniel's hand with his own warm, steady. Broken things can be mended, Danny. Stronger, even. The touch ignited something, and when they stepped into the chilly night, Michael pulled him into the alley shadows, kissing him soft and sure under the street lamp's glow. It was nothing like the frantic fumbles of Daniel's past. This was a homecoming, lips parting slow, tongues tentative then bold. Daniel melted into it, hands fisting Michael's jacket, the world narrowing to the taste of wine and want. They didn't go back to Daniel's that night. Too soon, too raw. Instead, Michael walked him home, their fingers laced until the stoop light hit. "This is real," Michael whispered, forehead to Daniel's. "No shadows." Daniel nodded, buzzed on more than Chianti, and watched him vanish into the night, already counting hours till their next session. But shadows have a way of creeping back. The next week, Daniel's boss dropped a bombshell. A promotion to senior analyst, but it meant relocating to the New York office in 3 months. "Big leagues, Harper," the man said, clapping his back like it was a done deal. Daniel forced a smile, but inside, panic bloomed. New York was a fresh start or a severing. Michael didn't know yet. How could he, when their thing was still fragile as frost? He told him after a yoga flow class Michael subbed, ironic, stretching into vulnerability. They were in the empty studio, mats rolled, when Daniel blurted it out. Michael's face shuddered, the easy grin vanishing. "New York? That's huge, Danny. Congrats." But his voice was flat, eyes on the floor. Daniel reached for him, but Michael stepped back. "We knew this was fast. Maybe it's a sign to slow down." The word stung like salt in a cut. Slow down? Or stop? Daniel pressed, voice cracking. Michael sighed, rubbing his neck. "I don't know. I've been burned before. Deployments, distance, they kill things quiet." He met Daniel's eyes then, raw. "But damn, I don't want this to be over." They stood there, air thick, until Michael closed the gap, kissing him fierce against the mirrored wall. Mirrors that now reflected truth, not lies. "We'll figure it," he growled, hands roaming. 3 months is time enough. Daniel clung to that, to him, as they tumbled into passion on the studio floor, bodies sinking like they'd been waiting lifetimes. But doubt is a thief, and it started small. A text from Daniel's sister, "Mom's asking about that girl from work," laced with unspoken judgment. Then Michael's late nights at the gym, training a new client. A cocky finance bro named Alex who flirted shamelessly. Or so Daniel imagined from the Instagram stories. Paranoia festered, whispers of not enough, too soon, too risky. Christmas loomed, a family trip to Ohio Daniel couldn't dodge. He left with a promise. "Back in 10 days and we'll talk future." Michael nodded, kissing him at O'Hare like it was goodbye. The flight was turbulent, mirroring the churn in his gut. Home was a minefield. Mom's forced smiles over eggnog. Dad's, "When you settling down?" Over turkey. Daniel deflected, heart in Chicago, but the isolation cracked him open. On Christmas Eve, buzzed on spike cider, he called Michael. "Miss you," he slurred, voice thick. Michael's laugh was warm through the static. "Miss you more, city boy. Hurry back." He did, landing on a snow-dusted runway, hailing a cab straight to Ironclad. Michael was there, locking up, surprise lighting his face. "Couldn't wait," he teased, pulling Daniel into the vestibule. The kiss was fire, melting the holiday chill. And they ended up in Michael's Jeep, parked in a deserted lot, windows fogging as hands explored, breaths mingling in desperate rhythm. It was bliss, that post-holiday haze. New Year's spent dancing at a queer bar in Boys Town. Michael's arm possessive around his waist, the world blurring into cheers and confetti. Daniel posted a vague story. No faces, just intertwined hands against fireworks. Likes poured in, but so did a DM from an unknown. "Careful, bro. Not everyone's cool with that." He deleted it, but the seed was planted. Work ramped up, the promotion paperwork a ticking clock. Michael threw himself into training, taking on extra shifts, their dates squeezed between deadlines. Tension simmered, unspoken fears of distance, of labels, of losing what they'd barely claimed. One February night, after a grueling leg day, Daniel collapsed on a bench, quads screaming. Michael knelt, massaging the ache away, thumbs digging deep. "You're tense everywhere," he said, voice low. "Talk to me." Daniel hesitated, then spilled. The promotion doubts, the family pressure, the terror of loving and losing. Michael listened, then cupped his face. "Love? Is that what this is?" His eyes searched, hopeful. Daniel swallowed. "Yeah, scary as hell. But yeah." Michael's smile broke wide, and he kissed him there, in the open gym, oblivious to the lone janitor mopping in the corner. It was a declaration, quiet but seismic. But earthquakes leave aftershocks. The next day, Daniel's phone lit up with a forwarded email from HR. Promotion approved. Move date set for May 1st. He showed Michael over coffee, the steam curling like question marks. What if we try long distance? Daniel ventured. Michael stirred his mug, jaw tight. I've done that dance. It ends in static. But he squeezed Daniel's hand. We'll make it work. You're worth fighting for. Spring bloomed defiant, cherry blossoms mocking the frost in Daniel's chest. They stole weekends. A cabin in Wisconsin, where they hiked and fucked and talked till dawn about futures. Michael may be opening his own gym, Daniel pivoting to consulting for flexibility. It felt possible, painted in possibility. Until the betrayal cracked it open. April arrived with a vengeance. Thunderstorms rattling Chicago's skyline like God's own tantrum. Daniel's days blurred into spreadsheets and site visits. The New York office a specter looming larger. Evenings were sanctuary. Michael's apartment in Ukrainian village. A cozy third-floor walk-up with exposed brick and a kitchen that smelled of cumin and home. They'd cook. Michael's carnitas tacos, Daniel's half-assed attempts at risotto. Then collapse on the sagging couch, limbs tangled, Netflix forgotten for skin and whispers. You're my anchor, Daniel murmured one night, head on Michael's chest, the steady thump of his heart a lullaby. Michael's fingers traced lazy circles on his back. And you're the storm I didn't know I needed. It was cheesy, straight out of some rom-com. But in the glow of string lights, it landed true. They made love slow that night, bodies speaking what words fumbled. Stay, fight, love. But anchors drag, storms scatter. At work, rumors swirled, colleagues side-eyeing Daniel's glow. A whisper about that gym guy from the holiday party photo someone snapped. He brushed it off, but paranoia gnawed. Michael, too, grew distant. Extra clients meant late nights, texts curt with exhaustion. Just the grind, he'd say, but his kisses tasted of evasion. The crack widened on a drizzly Saturday. Daniel surprised him at the gym with takeout from that falafel spot, hummus and pita, Michael's weakness. Ironclad was quiet, post-rush lull. But Alex the finance bro was there, spotting Michael on squats, their laughter carrying too easy. Daniel hung back, bag crinkling in his fist, watching Michael's hand clap Alex's shoulder. Familiar, lingering. Hey, Daniel said when Alex bounced, voice brighter than it felt. Michael straightened, sweat slicked, pulling him into a quick hug. What's this? Falafel fairy? They ate on the mats, cross-legged like kids, but Daniel's appetite soured. You two seem tight, he probed, casual as he could. Michael's fork paused. Alex? Nah, just a client. Pushy, but pays well. Daniel nodded, but the seed sprouted thorns. That night, alone in his apartment, Michael had a family thing. Daniel scrolled Instagram. The algorithm a cruel confidant. There it was, Michael's story, time-stamped an hour ago. A group shot at a bar. Alex front and center. Arms slung around Michael's neck. Caption. Squad goals after hours gym life Chicago nights. Daniel's thumb hovered, heart souring. It was innocent, probably, but in the shadows of doubt it festered. He didn't confront. Instead, he drank. Cheap whiskey from the cabinet, glass after glass until the room spun. By midnight, voicemails piled. Call me back, Mike. We need to talk. No response. At 2 a.m., a cab to Ukrainian village, pounding on the door until a bleary-eyed Michael answered. Hair tousled, in boxers. Danny? What the? Who's Alex really? Daniel burst, words slurring. Phone thrust forward with the screenshot. Michael's face cycled shock to anger. Jesus, you're wasted. Come in. Inside, the apartment smelled of smoke and strangers. Beer cans on the coffee table, a jacket not Michael's on the chair. It was a client mixer, Michael explained, guiding him to the couch. Nothing, man. Alex is straight as an arrow, hits on everything female. You're seeing ghosts. Daniel slumped, tears hot. I'm scared, Mike. Of losing this. Of you. Michael knelt, hands on his knees. Hey, look at me. I'm here. All in. He kissed Daniel's forehead. Then lips, soft and coaxing sobriety. They ended up in bed. Michael's body a bomb. Moving together urgent and forgiving. No ghosts, Michael whispered after, holding him tight. Just us. Morning brought hangovers and apologies. Over coffee, Daniel confessed the spiral, the promotion stress, family ghosts, the fear he wasn't enough. Michael listened, then shared his own. The ex, Javier, who cheated during deployment, the scar that made trust a battlefield. I push away when it's good, Michael admitted. Old habit. They vowed better, weekly check-ins, no assumptions, a planner for the move. It helped, that pact. May crept closer, boxes stacking in Daniel's apartment like tombstones. They planned a goodbye weekend in the city, Art Institute skyline picnic, a night at the ballet Michael secretly loved. Culture vulture, Daniel teased, and Michael flipped him off, grinning. But fate, that bastard, had other plans. 2 weeks out, Daniel's phone rang during a client call. Mom, voice trembling. Your father's had a heart attack, Danny. Come home. Now. He booked the red-eye, gut churning. Michael drove him to O'Hare, hand laced in his on the terminal bench. Go take care. I'll hold the fort. Their kiss was salt-tinged, promise-laden. Love you, Daniel said, first time sober. Michael's eyes glistened. Love you more. Fly safe. Ohio was a blur. Hospital beeps, Dad pale in a gown, Mom's vigil like a ghost. The attack was mild, but the scare unearthed truths. Dad's regrets. Unspoken apologies for the years of tough love that masked fear. Daniel stayed 2 weeks, bridging gaps with his sister over bad coffee, realizing family wasn't fixed but fractured. Mendable. He texted Michael daily. Photos of cornfields, voice notes of exhaustion and ache. Responses came steady. Proud of you. Miss your face. Back in Chicago, the city felt alien, hotter, hurried. Michael picked him up, bear hug in arrivals that drew stares. Over pizza at Pequod's, Daniel unloaded the family saga. It's like, we're all just trying not to drown. Michael nodded, eyes soft. Human shit. Makes us real. That night, they reclaimed his apartment, christening the bare mattress amid packing tape and echoes. The move loomed, a guillotine. Daniel's last session at Ironclad was bittersweet. Clients clapping him out. Michael spotting one final set with exaggerated grunts. Don't get soft on me, East Coast, he joked, but his grip lingered. After, in the locker room, alone, Michael pressed him against the lockers, kiss devouring. This isn't goodbye, he growled. It's see you soon. New York swallowed Daniel whole. A shoebox in Brooklyn, subway symphonies, boardrooms that gleamed sterile. Calls with Michael bridged the miles. Late nights syncing time zones. Sex that burned. Plans for visits. June. I'm there, Michael promised, voice husky over FaceTime. Daniel clung to it, navigating the city's pulse, carving space for them in his chaos. Mid-June, Michael flew in. LaGuardia reunion, a frenzy of lips and luggage. They holed up in the apartment, ordering Thai, fucking like starved men, then ventured out, highline walks, hand-in-hand defiant. This city's got nothing on you, Michael said, nuzzling his neck at a rooftop bar. Daniel laughed, buzzed on gin and him. It was perfect, a bubble, until it burst. The morning Michael left, Daniel's phone pinged. An email from a mutual gym friend. Subject, dude, check this. Attached, screenshots, Michael's Instagram DMs, leaked by some petty asshole. To Alex, miss our talks. Drinks soon. Then, escalating, wife's out of town. Your place. Heart emojis, shirtless selfies. Dated May 10th while Daniel was in Ohio. The world tilted. Daniel's fingers trembled, forwarding it to Michael mid-cab to JFK. Explain. No response till landing. Call me. Not what it looks like, but it looked like betrayal, raw and jagged. Daniel paced the apartment, rain lashing windows like accusations. When Michael finally rang, voice frantic, Daniel exploded. While I was burying family skeletons, you were what? Relapsing. Michael swore, words tumbling. Alex had cornered him, drunk at a bar, confessed a crush, sent the messages. I shut it down, Danny. Blocked him. It was nothing. But the timestamps lied, responses after the shutdown. Flirty edges. You're lying. Daniel choked, tears hot. Or worse, you're weak. Michael's silence was damning. I was lonely. You were gone. But I love you. Love doesn't text like that. Daniel hung up, world crumbling. He blocked the number, deleted photos, packed Michael's forgotten hoodie into a box for mailing. Betrayal tasted like ash. The trust they built torched in minutes. Days blurred into numbness. Work a fog, nights scrolling ex's feeds for validation that soured. Friends urged, give him a chance. But the wound festered. A week later, a package arrived. The hoodie, laundered, with a note. I fucked up. Therapy starts Monday. Fight for us. Daniel burned it in the sink. Flames licking paper. Tears steaming. Summer sweltered on, New York a indifferent beast. Daniel threw himself into runs along the Hudson, each stride pounding out rage. He dated. A barista with dimples, a lawyer with laugh lines. But they were placeholders, echoes of Michael's touch. Guilt gnawed. Had he pushed too fast? But no, betrayal wasn't on him. August brought a heat wave, the kind that pressed clothes to skin and tempers to breaking. Daniel's promotion hit a snag, boss delay, and in the stall memories flooded. Michael's laugh in the dunes, his hand in the hospital wait. No, that was family. He unblocked the number, thumb hovering, but pride won. Then a call from Chicago, the gym friend again. Mike's a mess, man. Quit training. Alex started AA. Wait, no, just therapy. Asks about you daily. Daniel's resolve cracked, a hairline fracture. Tell him. I need time. Fall leaves turned, mirroring the turn in him. He flew home for Dad's checkup. The irony bitter, Chicago without Michael. Ironclad felt haunted. The racks mocking, the mirror reflecting a hollowed man. He didn't go in, but fate cornered him at a coffee shop blocks away. Michael, there for a consult, froze midline, cup midway. Danny. Voice wrecked, eyes shadowed. Daniel's chest seized. Don't. But Michael stepped closer. No touch, just presence. I was weak, scared of losing you, so I sabotaged. Therapy's kicking my ass. Facing the abandonment shit from Javier, from Dad leaving when I was 10. Raw, unfiltered. I love you still. Always will. But if you're done, I get it. Just know I'm better for trying. Daniel's throat burned. You broke us. Michael nodded. Yeah, but breaks can heal crooked. Stronger. He left a napkin with his new number, therapy-mandated boundaries, and walked out. Back in New York, the napkin burned a hole in his wallet. Weeks of what-ifs. The good outweighing the bad. Forgiveness a bridge or a trap. He called voice steel. One coffee. Neutral ground. Chicago. October's chill bit into Chicago like a reminder that nothing lasts forever. Daniel stepped off the L train at Logan Square, collar turned up against the wind, heart a war drum. The coffee shop was a hipster haven, exposed ducks, pour-over steaming, neutral as promised. Michael waited in a corner booth, nursing black coffee, looking smaller somehow. Same broad frame, but shoulders hunched, eyes wary behind glasses Daniel didn't recognize. Thanks for coming, Michael said as Daniel slid in, voice steady but laced with gravel. No hugs, no hands, just space, a chasm papered with menus. Daniel ordered an Americano, strong and bitter, mirroring the twist in his gut. Therapy? He started direct. Michael nodded, fingers tracing the mug's rim. Twice a week, unpacking the marine bullshit the family voids. Turns out, I chase chaos to feel in control. Sabotaged us before you could me. Daniel sipped, scalding his tongue. A penance. And Alex. The name hung, venomous. Michael's jaw ticked. Blocked, fired as client. He was an escape hatch. Lonely nights, your boxes everywhere. Stupid, selfish. I'm sorry doesn't cut it, but it's all I got. Eyes met then, Michael's raw, pleading without begging. I read every book on betrayal, yours, mine. Learned forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's choosing. The barista called orders, clatter punctuating the silence. Daniel stared at the foam art, a leaf wilting in his cup. I forgave my dad, you know, for the silence, the prayers. Took a heart attack to crack him open. He paused, voice thinning. But you? It feels like you aimed for my throat. Michael's nod was slow, pained. I know. Deserve that. A beat. What do you need to move on? Even if it's without me. The question disarmed, no pressure, just space. Daniel exhaled, the weight shifting. Time. Truth. And you maybe. But slow. Michael's smile flickered. Tentative dawn. Slow I can do. They talked 3 hours, coffee cold. Refills forgotten. Michael's therapy tales. The shrink calling out his avoidant attachment. Homework to journal fears. Daniel shared New York. The isolation masked as hustle. Dates that fizzled because nobody gets the gym jokes. Laughter cracked through, tentative then real, a bridge forming plank by plank. He flew back lighter. The napkin now a contact. Chicago anchor. Text started sparse. Good session today. Killed a presentation. Emojis crept in, hearts cautious. Then bold. A month in, Michael sent a voice note. Rain pattering, voice soft. Thinking of that dune hike. Missed the burn. Daniel's reply. A photo of Brooklyn Bridge at dusk. Burns mutual. November thawed them. Virtual dates. Michael cooking carnitas over Zoom. Daniel's risotto a comedy of errors. You're hopeless, Michael teased, but his eyes shone. Distance sharpened longing. Sexts evolved to soul bears. Michael's poem fragment about locked doors we choose. Daniel's essay on corporate cages. Thanksgiving split them. Daniel in Ohio, Michael hosting his family in Pilsen. FaceTime over pie. Michael's niece smearing pumpkin on his cheek. Daniel's dad toasting to new chapters. It stung the miles but stitched to proof they endured. December brought snow, blanketing Chicago in hush. Michael proposed a visit. Holiday market, mulled wine. No pressure. Daniel's yes was a leap. O'Hare was chaos. Elves and harried travelers. But Michael's wait at baggage claim, scarf loose, grin wide, made it magic. They bundled into the cold, hands finding pockets, breaths clouding as they wandered Christ Kindle Market. Stalls aglow with ornaments, air spiced with glowine. Under twinkling lights, Michael bought him a wooden nutcracker, fierce like you, and Daniel a leather journal for Michael's scribbles. Write me in, he said, pressing it into calloused hands. Michael's kiss was chaste, public safe, but electric. Back at the apartment, barriers fell. Slow undress by the tree's glow, bodies rediscovering like old maps. Missed this, Michael whispered, tracing Daniel's collarbone. Missed you, Daniel replied, arching into touch. They navigated minefields. Boundaries set, weekly therapy check-ins shared, no ex-contact. Michael's growth shown. Vulnerability without armor, apologies owned. Daniel's too, voicing insecurities before they festered. New Year's Eve, skyline fireworks from the roof, Michael's arm around him. To us, he toasted with champagne. Bent, not broken. Winter deepened, visits a rhythm. Daniel to Chicago for MLK weekend. Michael to New York for Valentine's. Empire State, hearts neon. But cracks lingered. Work for Daniel amped. Late nights bleeding into calls missed. Michael vented. Feels like I'm dating your voicemail. Daniel snapped once. Exhaustion frayed. Some of us grind for stability. Hang up. Regret. Make up text. Sorry. Tired. Not done. Therapy helped. Daniel started his own sessions, unpacking Ohio ghosts. The internalized shame that made love feel like risk. You're worthy, his counselor said, and slowly he believed. Spring 2025 bloomed tentative. Daniel's lease loomed, renew or roam. A headhunter dangled Chicago remote options, but pride pinned him east. Michael floated moving. Jim certs transfer. We build here or there. Daniel hesitated, fear whispering too soon. Let's table it. The table wobbled in April during Michael's visit. A gala for Daniel's firm, black tie, schmoozers in tuxes. Michael cleaned up lethal. Tailored suit hugging muscle, bow tie crisp. They turned heads, whispers trailing. Who's the arm candy? Daniel's chest swelled possessive. On the dance floor, slow sway to jazz. Michael's hand low on his back. Proud of you, he murmured. This empire's yours. But empires crumble. Midway, Daniel's boss pulled him aside. Impressed, Harper. That Tokyo project? Let it. Global travel 6 months out. Elation soured, more distance just as roots tentatively set. He told Michael in the cab home, city lights streaking. Silence stretched, then Michael's sigh. Congrats. But, us? Daniel gripped his hand. We adapt. Always have. Bed that night was tender, bodies sinking to unspoken fears. Morning brought reality. Michael's flight, Daniel's boardroom. A text en route. Love you. Fight on. Daniel replied, always. May tested that. Tokyo prep consumed Daniel jet lag simulations, language apps. Calls shortened. Michael's voice edged with strain. Miss the real you, he'd say. Daniel snapped. This is real building something. Guilt followed, but resentment simmered. Mid-month, Michael's birthday. Daniel arranged a surprise. Flight to Chicago. A weekend unplugged. Michael's joy at the door. Bear hug lifting him off feet. Melted doubts. They escaped to the dunes again. Cabin rented, no signal. Hikes turned hikes. Talks deep. Michael's dream of a queer-friendly gym. Daniel's pivot to inclusive finance consulting. We could hybrid, Daniel mused, head on his lap by firelight. Chicago base you travel with? Michael's kiss sealed it. Team. Back in the city, bliss brief. A week later, Daniel's phone buzzed during a strategy sesh. Unknown number, voicemail. Danny? It's Alex. Mike gave me your wait, no. Look, he's spiraling. Therapy's good. But he mentioned you sounded wrecked. Don't fuck this up. Delete, block, but worm planted. Daniel called Michael that night, accusatory. Alex messaged. You give him my number. Michael's denial sharp. Hell no. Must have dug it up. I swear. But doubt poisoned, old wounds reopening. Always an Alex, Daniel muttered. Michael pleaded. Trust the work. Trust me. But the call ended frayed. June scorched, Tokyo looming. Visits halted, budgets, schedules. Texts turned terse. Busy day. Same. A video call devolved. Michael's complaint about a client cancel. Daniel's eye roll at drama. Maybe we need space, Daniel said, impulsive. Michael's face crumpled. Space or out? Silence answered. The break was mutual, a cooling off. No contact. Radio silence, a mercy. Daniel threw into work, Tokyo a distraction. Flights booked, visas stamped. Friends dragged him to Pride in Manhattan. Floats rainbowing, bodies joyous. He danced, flirted, but hollow, Michael's absence a ghost. July 4th, alone on a rooftop, fireworks blooming like bruises. Daniel scrolled old photos. Dunes, markets, that first kiss. Tears mixed with rain. Sudden downpour. He texted, miss you. Badly. No reply. A week later, Michael's olive branch. Miss you too. Therapy says communicate, not assume. Coffee when you're back. Daniel's yes trembled. Reunion in August, neutral turf. A park in Chicago, leaves turning early. Benches worn, lake breeze sharp. Michael arrived first, journal in hand. Pages filled. Wrote it all, he said, passing it. Entries raw. Fears of abandonment. Love's terror, growth's ache. Daniel read aloud one. Heart's lock not to trap, but to hold through storms. Tears fell. I pushed, Daniel admitted. Feared losing control. Michael nodded. We both did. But here we are. Hand extended, accepted. Slow rebuild. Weekly calls recommitted. Visits planned around Tokyo. September steadied. Daniel prepped for Japan. Michael subbed a class on queer fitness, videos shared, pride swelling. You're changing lives, Daniel said over sushi takeout. Michael's apartment haven. Love rekindled gentle. Touches tentative. Building to fire. October winds whispered change. Tokyo called 2 weeks test run. Airport goodbye. Michael's kiss lingering. Come back to me. Daniel nodded, boarding with hope. Japan was neon chaos. Tokyo Tower aglow, ramen steam, boardrooms bowing. Calls nightly. Michael's voice anchor amid jet lag. Killed it today, he'd report deals. Miss your laugh, Michael countered. Back stateside, high on success, Daniel pitched the firm. Remote from Chicago, Tokyo quarterly. Approved, contingent on performance. He called Michael from the cab. I'm coming home. For real. November 2025 draped Chicago in gold and gray. The kind of autumn that made every corner cinematic. Daniel's flight touched down at O'Hare just as the first flurries dusted the runways. A soft welcome home. No fanfare. Just Michael waiting curbside in that battered Jeep. Wipers swiping intermittent snow. Grin splitting his face like sunrise. Daniel dropped his bag, slid into the passenger seat, and pulled him across the console for a kiss that tasted of airport coffee and forever. Welcome back, partner, Michael murmured, eyes crinkling. The word partner landed like roots taking soil. The drive to Ukrainian village was a debrief. Tokyo triumphs, the deal closed, sake toasts with execs. Michael's gym milestone, first queer youth class, teens opening up mid-burpees. One kid said it felt safe, Michael shared, hand on Daniel's thigh. Like he could breathe. Daniel squeezed back. That's you making space. Home was Michael's apartment. Now theirs by unspoken pact. Daniel's boxes unpacked weeks prior, during a whirlwind lease signing. Exposed brick walls bore their marks. Daniel's abstract prints beside Michael's marine photos. A shared shelf of therapy books and dog-eared novels. They celebrated low-key. Deep dish at Lou Malnati's. Then tangled sheets, bodies relearning in lamplight. No rush, no ghosts, just presence. Michael's whispers tracing spine. This is us. Solid. Morning brought breakfast, kiloquiles, Michael's abuela recipe, and plans. Gym sessions rebooted, date nights penciled, therapy tandem now, joint sessions to stitch old scars. Work settled. Daniel's remote setup in a co-working space near the Loop. Tokyo trips quarterly, manageable miles. He dove into inclusive finance, pitching funds for LGBTQ+ startups. Passion ignited. Michael expanded Ironclad's programs, Reyes Resilience, workshops blending fitness and mental health, drawing crowds from Boys Town to Bronzeville. Pride swelled mutual. Daniel cheering Michael's first-class demo. Michael toasting Daniel's TEDx invite on corporate allyship. But harmony hums, then tests. December's holidays loomed dual. Ohio for Daniel's family, Pilsen for Michael's. Compromise birth tradition. A blended feast, rotating years. First stop, Dayton, snow blanketing the split level. Dad, healthier now, gripped Michael's hand firm. Heard you're a Marine. Respect. Mom hovered, casserole in hand, but warmed over pie. Michael's stories of his own mom's tamales bridging gaps. Families chosen too, she said tentative, and Daniel's chest eased. Pilsen was fiesta. Michael's siblings ribbing the fancy accountant. Niece tugging Daniel for horsey rides. Michael's dad, a stoic mechanic, clapping his back post-toast. You make him happy, Mijo. That's enough. Midnight mass echoed with carols. Then home for Posada Piñatas. Laughter loud. In bed later, Michael's head on Daniel's chest. They love you. We fit. New Year dawned crisp. Resolutions whispered. More adventures. Less assumptions. They booked a cabin in Door County. Ice fishing, bonfires, no cell service. There, under northern lights faint on the horizon, Michael dropped to one knee. Not ring, but question. Build this life with me? No rush, just, yes. Daniel's laughed tears. Yes, all in. Spring 2026 green tentative. Their rhythm deepening. Joint therapy unearthed layers. Daniel's fear of stagnation. Michael's echo of loss. We're not Javier or Ohio, the counselor affirmed. You're here. Choosing. Dates diversified. Drag brunches, Cubs opener, rain delay beers. A weekend in New Orleans, beignet and bourbon walks. Hands laced on Bourbon Street. Conflict simmered subtle. Daniel's Tokyo trip in April clashed with Michael's gym expansion grant deadline. Stress peaked. Late calls, snapped words. You're vanishing again, Michael vented over video. Daniel bit back. Building our future. Cool off. Then coffee reconciliation. Apologies owned. Calendars synced. Growth's gift. Fights shorter. Forgiveness swifter. Summer scorched. Their first pride as official. Rainbow flags from the Jeep. Marching arm in arm. Michael's sign. Love lifts weights. Daniel's speech at a panel drew tears. Coming out isn't once. It's daily. And love? It's the spotter who never lets go. Michael's eyes from the crowd. Proud. Teary. But life's not montage. August brought Michael's mom ill. Chemo looming. Daniel canceled Tokyo. Held vigil in the hospital. Translating medical jargon. Brewing café con leche. You're my rock, Michael whispered. For beeping. We got this. Family rallied. Daniel woven in, sister calling him Cunado. A title earned. Fall harvested bounty. Grant approved. Gym groundbreaking for expansion. Daniel's consulting firm took off. Clients from Seattle to Sydney. They bought rings. Simple titanium bands. Engraved locked in. Exchanged quiet at the dunes. Waves crashing witness. Winter wrapped them warm. Holiday cards addressed Harper Reyes. Ohio dinner with Dad's blessing. Happiest I've seen you, son. Pilsen Posada. Michael's mom frail but beaming. Mi amor, you've found yours. 2027 dawned with whispers. Adoption talks. A dog named Scout. Mutt from the shelter. Tail wagging chaos. Therapy shifted maintenance, celebrating wins, not just wounds. Dates evolved. Cooking classes. Daniel's risotto redeemed. Hikes with Scout. Quiet nights journaling shared dreams. Conflict crested minor. A client poach tempted Daniel West. Big money. LA base. What if, he mused. Michael's hand stilled his. We vote. Together. Stay chosen, roots deeper than relocations. By spring, the gym thrived. Reyes resilience a beacon. Youth programs saving lives. Daniel keynote at conferences, voice for the marginalized. Their home, upgraded to a Logan Square brownstone, echoed laughter, Scout sparks, Michael's guitar strums, learned for Daniel's off-key singing. Summer solstice, they married, courthouse simple. Then Dune's reception. Family, friends, tacos and toasts. Vows raw. Michael's you unlocked me. Daniel's you held the key. Dance under stars, bodies close, future vast. Years layered. Scout's puppies, accidental litter, rehomed with stories. Michael's book on resilient love. Daniel's non-profit launch. Conflicts came. Grief for Michael's mom. 2029. Peaceful. Dad's decline. 2030. Held hands. But weathered. Stronger. Elder autumn found them graying graceful. Jim retired to mentorship. Daniel adjunct teaching. Scout gone but gardenia planted in memory. Rocking chairs on the porch. Hands laced. Best plot twist, Michael says. Daniel smiles. Ours. The autumn of 2045 painted Chicago in hues of amber and rust. A canvas that mirrored the quiet fire in Daniel Harper Reyes' veins as he stood at the kitchen window of their Logan Square brownstone, watching leaves skitter across the patio like forgotten promises. At 49, time had etched fine lines around his eyes. Laugh lines, mostly earned from decades of choosing joy over caution. The house, once a fixer-upper bought on a whim in 28, now hummed with the patina of lives layered. Bookshelves groaning under Michael's dog-eared fitness tomes and Daniel's finance manifestos. Walls dotted with photos. Dune's weddings, Scout's puppy chaos, their niece's graduation grin. Michael shuffled in behind him, 53 and still solid as oak, though the marine edge had softened to a comforting breadth. He wrapped arms around Daniel's waist, chin hooking shoulder, breath warm on neck. Penny for him? he murmured, voice that gravelly timbre undimmed by years. Daniel leaned back, savoring the familiar weight. Just how we got here. Michael's chuckle rumbled. From locked doors to this? Hell of a arc. It was true. That fateful evening 20 years prior. Fluorescence buzzing, deadbolt clicking. Had been the spark, but the fire? That was forged in forges of forgiveness and grit. Daniel turned in the embrace, hands framing Michael's face, thumbs brushing salt and pepper stubble. Dinner out? Giordano's, like old times. Michael's eyes twinkled. Only if you promise no spreadsheets talk. They walked arm in arm down Milwaukee Avenue. The city a symphony of honks and laughter, unchanged yet ever-shifting. Giordano's booth was a time capsule. Vinyl seats cracked just so, the scent of sausage and spice thick. Over deep dish slices, they reminisced. Not the scars, but the stars. The Tokyo triumph that cemented Daniel's path. Michael's gym expansion that birthed a movement. Remember the first class? Michael said, fork midway. That kid, Jamie, now runs his own studio in Milwaukee. Daniel nodded, pride swelling. Ripple effect. Like us. Post-dinner stroll led to Ironclad, retired now, but the facade gleamed under new ownership. A plaque. In honor of Michael Reyes. Strength in vulnerability. Michael traced the letters, voice thick. Never thought it'd outlast me. Daniel squeezed his hand. It will. We did. Homeward, porch swing creaked under them. Blanket shared against November chill. Stories flowed. The 30s adoption odyssey, little Elena, now 15 and sassing through high school. The 40s sabbatical in Mexico, Abuela's recipes reclaimed. Conflicts retold gentle. The 35 infidelity scare. Michael's mentee overstep, nipped swift. Daniel's 42 career burnout, sabbatical saved. We bent, Michael said. Never broke. Elena's footsteps interrupted. Teens storming in from soccer, ponytail swinging, backpack thudding. Dads. Coach benched me. Unfair. Daniel stifled a grin. Michael the mediator. Talk me through it, Mija. Kitchen table counsel. Breaths deep, feelings voiced, resolution in hot cocoa. Bedtime story. Daniel's turn, voice weaving their tale sanitized. Two guys in a gym. Learned love's the best workout. Alone again, sheets cool, bodies warm. Love-making slow, reverent. Mapping wrinkles like constellations. Whispers of still you, and always. Afterglow. Michael's head on Daniel's chest. Regrets. Daniel pondered, fingers carding silver hair. None. You. Michael's no was a kiss. Winter wove holidays. Ohio ghosts quiet now. Dad gone 38, but letters cherished. Pilsen's posada vibrant. Elena the star piñata swinger. New Year's. Family toast. To locks that open. Spring 46 greened with Elena's prom. Daniel tie straightening, Michael photo snapping. Tears mutual. She's us, Daniel whispered, watching her twirl. Fierce, open. Summer road trip. Route 66 echoes. Dunes revisit. Elena groaning at dad lore. But eyes soft. Fall brought milestones. Michael's memoir launch. Locked in. A love in reps and restarts. Sold out reading. Daniel front row beaming. Elena's college apps. NYU, dreaming New York like Daniel once did. Proud. They chorused, arms around her. Conflicts came soft now. Health scares minor. Michael's knee. Therapy replaced. Empty nest whispers. Elena's flight looming. Therapy evolved. Legacy talks. What mark? Daniel's nonprofit global. Michael's foundation funding queer spaces. Enough, Michael said one session. We marked hearts. Thanksgiving 50. Table full. Elena home with girlfriend. Nerves met with hugs, siblings, chosen kin. Toasts to trials turned triumphs. Elena's speech. You taught me love's not perfect. It's persistent. Winter deepened. Michael's cough lingered. Doc's shrug. Age. But 51 brought diagnosis. Early lung, treatable. Fights fierce. Chemo chairs handheld. Daniel's spreadsheets now treatment trackers. Not leaving you, Michael growled post-scan. Daniel's vow. Together. Remission summer. Victory trip to Japan, Tokyo Tower, ramen nostalgia, Elena video calling cheers. Fall harvest. Elena's NYU acceptance, tearful goodbye. Dorms stocked, hearts full. 55 marked 30 years. Vow renewal, dunes private, waves witness, rings re-exchanged. Still choosing, Daniel said. Michael's, forever locked. Elder years gilded. Grandkids 60, Elena's twins, chaos incarnate. Travel slowed to porch tales. Michael's cough returned 65. Aggressive now. Hospice home, family rotating. Daniel's vigil. Stories retold, hands held. Best life, Michael whispered, eyes fading. Love you, Danny. Last breath. Daniel's always. Kiss lingering. Grief hollowed, then filled. Elena's anchor, grandkids' giggles, gym plaque visits. Daniel journaled Michael's words, taught classes on resilient love. 70. Daniel's 80th. Brownstone bash, toasts to the man who unlocked him. Sunsets from the swing, alone but not. Michael's spirit in leaves, in Elena's laugh, in the heart that beat on. Daniel smiled at the sky, whispering, see you soon, partner, but not yet. The end? Not tragedy, but testament. Love's lock, eternal, opened wide.